Mob Entertainment has finally released all 8 of the Nightmare Critters, and they're all pretty cool in their own unique way. So I wanted to talk about each one, and then go over the role I think they'll play in Chapter 4, because they might be some of the very early bigger body experiments. Bubba Chops was the first Nightmare Critter to be introduced. She is considered the black sheep of the group. This term, black sheep, is described as the member of the group who is regarded as a disgrace to it. In other words, the shameful outcast. She is known to be a loner, someone that likes a lot of space and is distant from everyone else. She doesn't get out much and likes to isolate. So I'm assuming we will see this character's bigger body version in Chapter 4. Her description could explain where she's been all of this time, hiding away in the shadows. And considering we saw her in the teaser trailer, it just leads me to believe we will actually see this character. But who knows, I could be wrong. It's interesting that her pendant is in the shape of a skull. As I've said before, skulls are associated with death. So this and the fact that she was the only Nightmare Critter in the teaser trailer could be hinting that we might not be making it out of Chapter 4 alive. The second Nightmare Critter to be introduced was Icky Licky. This character is of a poisonous frog. He's the type of person to always have an excuse for everything. Some would even consider him a poor sport. He challenges everyone on everything, meaning he will challenge you to a race only to lose and blame it on a sore knee. Although he is naturally talented, so it's unfortunate that he has this kind of mindset. The sporty vibe is fitting since frogs can jump well. Therefore, this trait is carried over to Icky as being athletic. His pendant is the shape of a biohazard symbol, and this is likely because he represents a poisonous frog, something you should probably stay away from. The third Nightmare Critter that was introduced is Raby Baby, and she is modeled after a bat. Now, don't go telling her any secrets because she will tell everyone. She loves to gossip and does not care about your privacy. But more interestingly, she will make up something if she runs out of juicy secrets, meaning she is a known liar, which also means if we end up running into the bigger body version of her, assuming she can talk, we should take what she says with a grain of salt. We might not be able to trust her. Her pendant is of a drop of blood, which is fitting since bats drink blood. The fourth Nightmare Critter to be announced was Alistar Gator. It goes without saying he is obviously an alligator. Alistar is a lazy guy. He could spend all day in the water doing pretty much nothing. Either way, he's chill. He believes in the idea that good things will come to him eventually, rather than putting in the effort to see the reward. So he would rather wait, and wait is all he does. That being said, I doubt we will see this character in Chapter 4, as he will probably just be waiting around somewhere. His pendant is in the shape of Bones Crossing. This could be explained by alligators eating things whole, bones and all. But Bones Crossing could also be related to Skull and Bones. Again, this could be hinting at the idea of death. This seems to be a pretty common theme with the chapter. Simon Smokes was the fifth Nightmare Critter to be announced, and he of course is a dragon. Simon is the cool guy of the group and makes sure everyone knows it. He is always bragging about his accomplishments, but everything is a popularity contest to him. In reality, Simon is a jerk and seems to always get away with being one. Not someone you would particularly want as a friend. His pendant is of a symbol of money. This makes sense considering he is a show-off. He also wears a gold earring and eyebrow ring, which are small but cool details that correspond to his pendant. The sixth Nightmare Critter that was introduced is Poe, and they are a crow. This character was themed around Edgar Allan Poe, which is just a cool detail I had to point out. Poe hates the sun, thinking the world shouldn't need something so bright to thrive. They are most comfortable in the dark and love hanging around graveyards. Again, another subtle hint to death. Poe is always angry at nothing and insists this act is not a phase. So this character is the edgy or goth one of the group. Their pendant is of a cloud and lightning, which represents darkness. This is fitting considering that's the identity of this character. Poe is also the only critter to have a one-word name, so this makes me think he might have a role within Chapter 4, or I'm just overthinking it. Regardless, it feels intentional and almost important. The seventh Nightmare Critter to be announced was Tui. This is a trash rodent, a rat, but don't go eating food from him because it won't taste good. His hobbies include collecting garbage and talking a lot. However, he never has much to say. He just loves talking. Need insight on some random junk? Tui is your guy. His pendant is of a fishbone. This makes sense since he's a rat and loves to eat trash. I don't think we're going to see much of this character to be honest, but he is pretty cool. The 8th and final nightmare critter to be introduced is Maggie Mako, the shark of the group. Maggie is always hungry, and she's the happiest when she's eating. She's not too picky, however, she prefers sweets over veggies. That being said, she will take your healthy eating advice with a little bit of chocolate syrup on top. Maggie's pendant is a shark tooth for obvious reasons. Okay, so how will these characters fit into the story of Chapter 4? Well, I don't think the timing of their reveal being in October was a coincidence. My assumption is that they're going to be related to Halloween in some way. I talked about this in my previous video, but my main theory is the nightmare critters were likely some kind of Halloween special. You see, the original Smiling Critters were nowhere near as successful as we were led to believe. Playtime Co. dumped all of their money from the success of Huggy Wuggy into the Smiling Critters, only for them to completely fail. The problem started with Catnap, which led to the rest of the toy line being unpopular, so the company's reputation had been damaged. Because of this, even the Smiling Critters cartoon was a failure. No one liked the toys, therefore no one watched the show. This was financially devastating for Playtime Co., but the company desperately wanted them to be successful, so they decided to give the idea of a group of critters one last try to recoup their losses. But this time, they would be centered around the holiday to promote sales. Playtime Co. presents The Nightmare Critters, a slightly darker version of the original. Maybe this would captivate the customers more. However, with the disaster the Smiling Critters brought, customers had no hope for this second iteration. Therefore, the Nightmare Critters were also a huge failure. So Playtime Co. decided to completely wipe them from existence. This would ensure that no one would remember one of the company's biggest failures. And they did a good job of this, considering we never saw a single thing about them throughout any of the chapters. There wasn't even a mention of them in the orientation notebook. After all, Playtime Co. is very good at cleaning up their own messes. Now, all that being said, with the wipe of the Nightmare Critters and the secrecy of the Bigger Bodies initiative, perhaps the company decided to run a few experiments using these characters. If no one knew about them, a few bigger body versions wouldn't hurt, right? My guess is that the Nightmare Critters were some of the very early bigger body experiments. I mean, it feels like this makes the most sense considering we are going to be learning about the labs. So why not introduce us to the characters that were the early experiments? But if they did create bigger body Nightmare Critters, where have they been? Well, we were also shown a prison location in the Chapter 4 teaser photos. In this photo, we can see a bunch of cells. So maybe after the experiments, even the unsuccessful ones, Playtime Co. would lock them away inside these cells, a place to make sure no one ever finds out about them. So they have been locked away down here rotting inside this prison, with Boxy Boo as the location's warden. Keep in mind, we barely saw any of the bigger body Smiling Critters throughout Chapter 3, so I'm assuming it will be the same for the Nightmare Critters in Chapter 4. We might see 1 or 2 of them, maybe 3 if we're lucky, but in terms of the lore, I'm sure there will be plenty of that. Who knows, I'm assuming they will do something different, so we might actually see some of their bigger body counterparts. But don't forget, the main villain of the chapter has yet to be announced. The ARG stuff is going to be coming out soon, and as I'm making this video, the ARG website was finally found. I'll put the link to it in the description. So once more Playtime Co. secrets are found within this ARG, expect content from me talking about what it all means and connecting the dots. Considering the construction letters that Mob Partners got, we will likely be learning about the labs, meaning we will finally get to see where the experiments took place. How do you guys feel about the Nightmare Critters? What role do you think they'll play in Chapter 4? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I just made a new Discord server, so if you want to join the community or talk to me, I recommend joining. If you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifyT. Thanks for watching.